Thank you, Wolfgang. Thank you, Scott and Maria, for inviting me. Congratulations to you and all, I mean all, who have contributed to this exceptional achievement. To be singled out are the members of the Board of Trustees, past and present. Could we have Board of Trustees stand up? We all owe them a lot. Their dedication and generous gift of precious time have made possible 30 years of ICSI, and we thank you. The topic, founding of ICSI, seems a bit out of place, like including particulars of your conception and birth in your resume. But since many of you were not here then, this may be of some interest. We all owe a debt of gratitude to Norbert Czepeski, the person who conceived ISI, sadly no longer with us. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Norbert's son, Clemens, for joining us today. Clemens. Clemens is a former ICSI postdoc and now a senior executive at Microsoft in Redland. Norbert Czepeski was one of the bright young Germans of the post-war generation to be awarded an Eisenhower Fellowship. He took this opportunity to learn about the role of computer science and engineering in the high-tech revolution here in the early 60s. Back in Germany, Czepeski introduced computer science into the curriculum of business administration schools, at the time considered a radical, if not heretical, idea by his academic colleagues. In 1981, the German government asked him to revive a moribund Institute for Mathematics and Data Processing, the GMD in Billinghoven, then the major CS facility in Germany, unknown beyond its borders. Czepeski's objective for the GMD was a tangible contribution to the pursuit of computer science in Germany, which he could accomplish by first off developing and introducing state-of-the-art CAT capabilities to every university CS department in Germany. Second objective, international recognition as an accepted measure of success. This second objective included providing German computer science postdocs with an opportunity to broaden their outlook and becoming part of the world's CS community. To put this in perspective, one must understand the position of computer science in the world of German science at the time. The Third Reich had taken a huge toll of academics both before and during World War II. By 1975, major traditional faculties and research organizations had been reestablished, even if not fully staffed. But there was little or no suitable talent left over for emerging disciplines, let alone new ones, such as computer science and engineering. Remember, during the same period, the US had benefited from the immigration of talent from abroad and by the surplus of its own well-qualified talent from the war effort. Late 1984, Norbert approached me with the idea for an international computer science institute. His question to me, what would it take to establish a German-sponsored ICSI in the US. He, Norbert, would explore support in German academia and funding from German industry. Issues which needed to be resolved were the United States was not uniformly receptive to the exchange of scientific information during the Reagan administration. There was a significant segment of the computer science faculty in Germany which did not favor spending German funds in the US and incidentally creating attractive postdoc opportunities for top-tier postdocs in the US. Understandable. Then there was the matter of, could a case be made for a project-oriented activity which could be more easily sold to German industrial and government sponsors? What were the considerations which would dictate the size and related funding of an institute? Should the institute be German-American or should it be international? Talking to many people in the US computer science research community, there emerged the ideas for a proposal. International, no question about it. No one was particularly behind singling out any one country for such an institute. Who was going to dictate what the institute would do? Director, no two ways about it. If you want to get a first-rate director, you're not going to tell him what to do. What was the reasonable size for such an undertaking? Minimum 30, maximum 100 people. This was the consensus of many, many people who had a lot more experience in this than I did. Location USA was clear because it's the only place where there was a surplus of talent which would allow you to hire excellent people, and that was the only criteria for starting a new institute. Here are some of the people who played a very major role in the founding, that is before ICSI was established. Domenico Ferrari, who was then the chair of the computer science department, and Richard Karp, who at the same time had won his Turing Prize, were responsible for getting 17 members of this then computer science department to agree upon a proposal from the university for an international computer science institute. I think there are enough of you in here who know what that means, to get 17 faculty members agree on anything. Don Shapiro, a man whom I had known before, who was a director at the National Research Council. This is the body that advises the Congress on matters pertaining to science and science policy. Don not only helped me understand what the issues were and how to resolve the technical aspects of interacting with the government, but he also brought me to the attention of the sister organization, or maybe brother organization, the OSTP, Office of Science and Technology, which serves the same function to the White House. So I had a very good tutoring and a great deal of volunteered advice on how to deal with that aspect of the problem. Without Calvin Moore, who was then the deputy director of MSRI, I don't think I would have been able to do what I had to do. Calvin Moore had been essentially the guy who put MSRI up on the hill. He, with Cherney, started MSRI, and they had all the insights to interact with the university, with the city of Berkeley, and every conceivable problem that is in the way of starting something like this that would never even occur to you. So this was absolutely essential. And then we were fortunate enough to hire his then business manager, very experienced person, Diane Wagner, who thrived on the startup of a small operation such as this. And she was responsible for signing leases, interacting with the university, and getting a IT facility. When the first postdocs arrived, several years later, the facility at Sender was there, and there were up-to-date computing facilities with connection to the university network. That was her doing. Joe Cerny, a giant among giants. This guy, not only a brilliant scientist who made a very big name for himself, he was former head of the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, and at that point in time was a provost for research. Those of you that have gone through faculty appointments, you know what that takes, and without Cherney, I don't think that we would have been fortunate enough to have someone like Jerry Feldman assume the post of director. Michael Rabin was everybody's first choice for board of trustees. Not only did he join the board, but he was instrumental in recruiting Jerry. And at the time, ICSI had no funding, no program, obviously, and it took a great deal of faith on the part of Jerry to even entertain the idea of giving up a good job in Rochester to come to something that was in somebody else's head. Without Michael Rabin, we wouldn't have had Jerry. Uwe Thomas at the German Ministry of Science, Ministry of Research, and I'm translating backwards, so difficult. German Ministry of Research and Technology. This is a place full of bureaucrats. And to find a guy like this fellow, Uwe Thomas, who would tell them, first of all, he understood what this was all about. This is a unique opportunity for Germany to enter into the community, the world community of computer science. He realized that, he understood that, and he could tell that, and Chipesky made it clear to him, that this was essential if they were going to move anywhere. And he moved bureaucracy like I had never seen happen in Germany. In fact, I questioned whether he was really a German. Unknown to you, who know Wolfgang Walzer, Wolfgang was one of the very few German academics who were a strong supporter of ICSI. you can understand that the idea of spending German research dollars, research marks, or whatever at the time, in the US was not a popular subject, computer science people. I think that already then, Wolfgang had a clear vision as to if Germany was to play a role in computer science, which was his dedication for his life's work, that they had to have some connection to the rest of the world. He saw that as a way of starting that, and he was not only sympathetic, but he did something about it. He came here, spent time here, and interacted with the faculty. Finally, Jerry Feldman, from whom you will hear and go beyond the founding part, was very, very much involved in the founding of the Institute at a point in time where he was head of the computer science department in Rochester, and essentially was running a second job here. And there was no assurance of this working out, but he had faith, and he contributed to making it happen. And he lent the scientific gravitas that was required in talking to sponsors, that in fact there was a plan, a potential plan, and that if he in fact did succeed in getting the directorship, that plan was one that these people could buy into. Okay. The selection process was done in a fairly obvious way. The word reputation is what is published on an annual basis on all computer science faculties. The word interest refers to the interest of the faculty, the respective faculty, in having an institute. Breadth was thought to be important because the interests of the sponsors were quite wide. So the broader the breadth of the computer science department, the more likely that there would be matches. There was no question that location was a real issue, and when I show you the results, then you will see that how that one worked out. The word support, last row, indicates the notion of what would the hosting university or whatever organization bring to the table in terms of helping such an institute get established. As you see, Berkeley, the first column, column A, one hands down, and these 7 organizations were invited to submit proposals. 5 of them did. And winning this proposal, as I mentioned, Berkeley was based upon the largest number of faculty members participating in a proposal. 74% of the computer science faculty at the time participated in the proposal. Berkeley had demonstrated ability to initiate and carry through collaborative projects across disciplines, across departments, even with outside organizations. Very unusual in most universities. Campus support, I already alluded to that. University of California had just finished MSRI and demonstrated that they can handle all of the complexities of the interactions with gut part. And the final item in the Berkeley proposal was they want to use that opportunity to attract a top-notch person to add to their faculty, whereas all the others had one of their own as proposed director. So we're in Berkeley, and as I had indicated already, that Jerry was very instrumental in getting things started. He brought some projects from Rochester here to Berkeley and involved some German postdocs in those projects. We had our first board meeting in November of '86. The lease for the building was signed, and Domenico and I were the first directors and treasurer. I think in order to have a corporation in a nonprofit corporation in California, you have to have a director and a treasurer. And Diane Wagner was business manager in 1286. Jerry's appointment came through a year later. For a year, he labored away with a dedication second to none, with no certain outcome. And those of you who know about faculty appointments at the University of California, that's something similar to electing a pope. The only thing you know is at the end there's smoke coming up and it's either black or white. Very, very difficult process, totally in secrecy, so that there's no way of finding out, is it likely to be? So for a year, Jerry was hanging in there, and as I say, that took a great deal of conviction about what it is that we were about to do to hang in there through that time. We moved to Center Street in '88 from that hole in the wall in Evans Hall. 518 Evans Hall. If you ever get by there, you say, gee, that's hard. And in April of '88, Jerry took over. So much for founding. I'm anxious to hear what happened during the next 30 years that made this an institute of renown. Thank you.
As a small gift, as a sign of appreciation, the Board of Trustees decided to this crystal here that's presented to Ron Kay in recognition of his vision and leadership in co-founding ICSI, making 30 years of innovation in computer science possible.
Thank you.
Hear, hear.